The name is Dollar.
So let's see. Sean, Ryan, Skylar, and Tyler do a podcast called The Shoot Show. Yeah, I bet you guys were in a lot of shoots. Oh yeah. It must be a really good show. A really, really good show. Must have at least, 8 fans? 8, what do virgins like to advertise? What's a virgin advertising demographic? Oh, do you guys kiss each other's hands? As Don Rickles would say, you hockey pucks. Nah, it's just a bunch of dumb names too. A bunch of idiots. Close Raven, nevermore.
I'm buff, I'm the stuff, and the girls just can't get enough. And I'm always in a shoot. Tyler and Skylar, you fucking suck. But Ryan and Sean are great. And that's a shoot.
Alright guys, welcome back to the Shoot Show. This is episode 132, and you about to catch a hot roundhouse to the face from somebody who's wearing jeans with no underwear.
Dude.
I hope you're ready for that.
Oh.
I'm Double T. As always, I am joined by the dankest of possums. We call him Ryan Claire. Ryan, what's going on, man?
Yeah, the name is Possum. I'm out here doing Chai Chi by a pond, man. I've been doing it ever since we said we were going to do this show. I've just been finding still bodies of water and flexing in front of them, making old men real uncomfortable from a distance.
That's right, yeah. And looking on, watching as Ryan shirtlessly does Tai Chi, it's this sloppity bile piper, Skylar Blank. I'm sticking with that.
A man puts a
What's
gun
up,
in
man?
your face. You got two choices. Stand there and die, or kill the motherfucker.
Whoa! That's right. Yeah, that's not Sam Elliott. That is Skylar Blank. Oh my god.
Sorry, Sam left.
And if you want to know why, I mean, there's just visible heat coming off of all of our bodies. It's because we are watching 1989's absolute classic Roadhouse, starring Terry Funk.
Yes. Yeah, he had that was his first starring role on the big screen. Big step for wrestling. This movie was.
Imagine if it was Terry
This was our in.
Yeah.
Good old Terry.
Him doing the Tai Chi.
But of course, Patrick Swayze is definitely one of the people that I feel like defined that decade of the 80s and even going into the 90s,
sure.
man. Like the dude was money.
Mm-hmm. My God, nobody could combine the elegance and rugged badassery like Patrick Swayze. He's the kind of guy that you would believe works with his hands, even though he has really nice fingernails. It's like I just believe that he puts in the time. He's one of those kinds of guys. He's a pensive badass. That's what we're missing these days. Is we got all these meatheads. We need guys that you look at and it's like, I think he's thinking about something over there, and it's not just right angling that guy's knee. He's got a little idea about something.
Contemplative, philosophical Patrick Swayze. I had not seen this movie all the way through. I familiar with it. I'd seen bits and pieces of it, but this was a thoroughly enjoyable watch from start to finish. Like this is what a movie should be. I don't
an action movie at least,
I don't think it hit as hard when it came out as it has in the years. In the interim, I think people's appreciation grew more and more for it over the years to the point that it's critical. If you haven't seen this movie, it's critical.
Absolutely, it's such a product of its era. That it's one of those things that needed a little bit of time to steep in its own juices. It needed to kind of mature into itself where people can look back and see oh my God, we were all on that level at one point. Everybody looked like that. And that's part of the fun of this movie is just how visibly different the world is in 1989. Not just the fidelity of the picture or sound. It's just I swear humans were built different. There were guys in here that you look up and they're 30 years old. They look 46.
Yeah, exactly.
The mustaches have never been better than they were in the year of our Lord 1989. And whoever casted these extras I don't know if everybody in the 80s was just that kind of sort of funny looking. But it just had such an 80s crowd. It had the wrestling show vibe. Where you scan a crowd and you're like, whoa, There's a lot of strange-looking white people in here.
For sure, and I mean, like we can go ahead and get right into it. Like, it starts off with a scene of a poppin' ass nightclub, and we really get a feel for what the late '80s were like, man. And it was boobs, drinks, smokes, and $100 bills.
Curse word.
Neon lights. You got to have the neon lights. Even the font opening the movie is like a weird pink that you kind of enjoy. And you've got a packed house, like you said, at a nightclub. A red sports car pulls up, and just the black pumps step out, and you're just like, oh my god, I'm already turned on. We're not even 30 seconds into the full movie, and we're already titillated.
That's right. The classic song "Don't Throw Stones" by the Cruzados is playing in the club, as the Cruzados themselves are playing in the club. So it's pretty cool. You get the soundtrack of this movie is fantastic, and there's some really good songs on here. And Patrick Swayze himself contributed 2 songs to the soundtrack, one of which appears playing on a radio at one point. So, Swayze had his hands all over this.
That thoughtful son of a bitch. I knew that there was some kind of input on the soundtrack, because it wasn't just, action movie music or popular 80s tunes. Every now and then they'd throw it to Dion and the Belmonts. What is this weird? It was kind of an odd blend, and it sort of was able to separate the character of Dalton, from when he's at the Double Deuce and when he's on his own time. It sort of signaled to the viewer in a subconscious way. It was like, oh, there's a dual sides to this monster. Is he a monster? He's not that big.
Oh yeah, I don't know if we said it, but Patrick Swayze's character's name is Dalton.
Oh
For
God,
I hasn't seen the movie.
Thank you,
Dalton,
Scott.
and if your eyes are quick enough, in a scene later in the movie, you can snatch a peek of his medical records and see that his first name is James.
Oh man,
James
Dalton.
So he goes by his last name Dalton?
For sure, I go by my last name.
Jim Dalton, Jimmy Diesel.
And we see Dalton fairly early on, and man, he is looking dope. He has the aura around him that you wouldn't need somebody to tell you who he was.
No, it's he'll catch your eye. Just to put it simply, he knows how to make an entrance.
And
if I'm scanning around that bar and I see that pretty face, I'm gonna stop for a second.
I like the idea of scanning down the bar and being like, "Oh, whoa, who do we have here?"
That bouncer is
5'8", probably
attractive.
190 pounds. He does not look very imposing, and that's kind of one of the running jokes in the movie, that he's not. Everybody says, "I thought you'd be bigger." At least 3 different people say that to him. He's kind of short for a stormtrooper.
Well, yeah, just think about who's famous right now. In the world, you got your Sylvester Stallones,
your Van Dammes,
and Van Dammes and Arnold Schwarzeneggers, right? So it's like, who is this little twerp? He's got beautiful hair, but can he fight? Doubtful. There's some burly guys in sleeveless shirts in here. I don't think he can handle them.
And a fight breaks out almost immediately. And we get to see Dalton in action. He tries to calm them down, but the dude grabs a knife and slices his shoulder. My God.
Yeah, slicing
blood. A knife attack very early on. This guy that cuts him is great. This is another, like you were talking about the casting. I can see this guy in my mind. And it's a great picture. He says, I think I could take you, Dalton. And then Dalton's like, well, let's take it outside. And they escort the guy outside, and then Dalton just turns to walk away, which is hilarious big dick energy, from the jump.
It really is. And it's one of those things you don't understand till you get older. Because as a kid, I always hated it when the good guy did that. They always took the high road at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, how dare you take the high road, you son of a bitch.
Just damn it, you know why I'm here. Don't make me wait around for it. But he's totally just these are small potatoes. I'm a big potato kind of guy. I only got room for big potatoes.
And then from there, we see him, continuing his badassery. He's in the back room or in a bathroom or something, stitching his knife wound shut by himself, which is that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, he doesn't want to leave the job tonight.
I've taken a few stitches in my life, and I don't think I would be up to the task of doing it myself. That's really impressive. This is how we're establishing what a badass this guy is.
Yeah, it's a little foreshadowing to a legendary line by him about pain. It's real intricate. I don't have time for it right now.
He's approached in the bathroom by Frank Tillman. Frank Tillman is trying to recruit him to his bar, which is called the Double Deuce. But he needs some help. He's having trouble with the Double Deuce. I think it's cool that this movie takes place in an alternate universe where being a bouncer is enough to get you like worldwide recognition. Because this is way before the internet, that somebody can be like, I'm from Texas, and I drove all the way up to New York because I heard that you're one of the best people at kicking drunk people's asses.
Hey, man. It's the last of the West, basically. You know, you've got, this is before the internet, it's only word of mouth.
Yeah, that's an interesting analogy. Because, thousands of miles away, people are just like, holy shit, Dalton, I've heard of that guy. I heard if you're drunk, he'll throw you out.
That's part of the, I don't want to get, like, too, film classy on this, but I don't know if this is a purveying opinion. But I got a very Western vibe from this movie anyway.
Okay.
It was so right, because in the special features that I watched, the director was talking about he wanted to make it a modern Western, like the old Western movies.
Okay, well, yeah, I've probably come across that before. Anyway.
I'll give you that.
So that's probably a very popular, played-out opinion. I'm glad I didn't steer hard into that. Thank you, Skyler. I was like, well, I've got this really nice take on it. But yeah, it really is. We're the last of the cowboys, if not the outlaw bars. So you have these guys that specialize in dealing with the toughest of the tough. And I mean, word travels. I've heard of guys. I mean, in high school, you heard about guys at other schools that could fight. I don't know.
Yeah, but you didn't hear about guys. If you were in Texas, like, oh man, this guy in New York is like, he's serious. He goes to PS 188.
All it takes is a guy getting his ass kicked in New York from Texas to change. It's like, yeah, Jimmy, he got his ass kicked by some guy that pronounces all of his syllables. This son of a bitch should be mortified. But it's a very kind of like when a present day movie structures after a fable. This one's kind of inspired by the Westerns, I feel like, and your proxy from the get-go going through the bar is like you said, Frank Tillman. And he's recruiting, and that's what you get to the nice sights and sounds as the movie open, like a lot of lingering shots on cleavage and everything. And it's just they do such a good job of establishing this just rowdy as shit. Do we even see a cop at any time in this damn movie? It really is like
maybe at the very end, I think you see one, but like
it's the only.
So. I mean, it doesn't really take Dalton too much consideration to make this decision to go and do this. He wants $5,000 up front and $500 a night.
That's
a
lot of money.
And Frank will pay all of his medical bills, which would also pile up fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's roughly $10,000 in 2021 money.
$2.8 million a night. Having seen this place late as we proceed, it's amazing to me that Frank Tillman is willing to pay this guy $500 a night, because it's a lot of money. A lot of money.
That's what I was wondering. Is like, how much are they charging at the door?
Jesus, I spent $50 on a ticket to watch an idiot get his face pounded at a high school gym.
Yeah. Yeah, that we've already run across how much we value violence, and once we put a monetary value on it, the shit goes out the door. But yeah, there's like $10,000 up front, basically $1,000 a night. I don't know how many weeks or nights a week this place is open, or if they're just like a Thursday through Sunday kind of operation. But this guy had to have come into some money, as he sort of hinted at. But it's just it is a little bit like, how much money is coming into this place, and how valuable is this Dalton fella to warrant this kind of money? But we'll see.
For sure. Well, and there's an interesting little side scene that follows this where Swayze leaves the club. Tells the owner that he's quitting, and he drives his car, and he just stops on the side of the road, and he finds just some random black guy who is played by Chino Fats Williams, who is only credited as Derelict in the credits.
Derelict.
And
this man was in Terminator, Action Jackson, Weird Science. He was called
So Swayze pulls up and just gets out of his car and just tosses his car keys at him, and Chino says, "What I look like, a valet?" And Swayze says, "Keep it, it's yours," which is like kind of altruistic ostensibly, but by the same token, like, how are you going to get the title for that car? Like, how are you going to do, like, I imagine, like, no cop is going to believe that. This dude is going to get arrested for car theft. Like, no, officer, I don't know his name. He just threw his car keys at me. Like...
Yeah, some angelic white man just
he
ruined
that guy's life. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's Dalton's
first
car.
time he tries to
no one's
register
seen
that
Dalton
shit.
in weeks. Like...
Well, knowing how many people Dalton has assaulted and shit, it just puts a target on this poor man's back.
That's what I was
He can't go to the
that's-
grocery
yes, that's what I
store.
was thinking.
There's some
They're like,
guy
I know
with
that car. That's Dalton's car. Get him, boys.
Exactly. This guy's had a limp for 2.5 years because of Dalton, and he sees the car. It's like, shit, I'm going to throw a firebomb at that thing.
And why did he do this? Because he secretly has a BMW stashed away.
That's a Mercedes.
Oh, Mercedes, I'm sorry.
I thought it was a BMW also.
I thought it was too. And they credit BMW in the credits, but we'll go with Mercedes.
Oh, wait, is it? Uh-oh, my fault.
Oh, you're wrong, Ryan.
So as the classic song "On the Road Again" by Canned Heat plays, we get it. You know, we get to see Patrick Swayze tear away in his nice ass car,
Hell yeah, driving all the way to Texas.
all the way to Texas because he doesn't fly. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Frank tried to give him plane tickets and he don't fly.
Yeah.
After that, we get to see the Double Deuce, which is surprisingly big. Like I'm.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a bar that much.
It looks like it has two stories, but we only ever see the one kind of open barroom area that doesn't really look like it would be that big.
Yeah, that's definitely an old feed house. Like, it's a feed store. That's where you go. It looks exactly like a feed store. It's got the raised platform where you could pull your pickup truck right up to. It's got the double doors. You got the big-ass ventilation windows at the top. I've seen the feed store before. How is this guy a rich man with a nightclub? It's in a feed store.
A little behind the scenes here. The front of the Double Deuce that we see was built specifically for this movie and torn down afterwards. All of this movie was filmed in California, and the interior shots took place at a place called the Cowboy Bar, which is in Anaheim, which has subsequently been closed down.
So,
Everything is just terrible now, apparently.
yeah,
Wow.
why did you give us all this sad news? You should have said this at the end.
No, what I meant to say was it's still open, and you can go visit it.
And the Double
after
Deuce
the
is
end
super
of this
real.
show. So yeah, Dalton shows up. As he walks towards the door, it blasts open, and Terry Goddamn Funk is tossing a drunk out. Terry plays a character named Morgan, but I'm going to keep calling him Terry.
Yeah, no,
He
he's
is Terry Damn Funk.
Damn it,
it's
Terry.
like it's like calling Samuel L. Jackson his character's name. Damn it! If you're talking about a Samuel L. Jackson movie, did some guy named like Jones say I'm sick of these motherfucking snakes? No.
I always wrote Dalton in my notes, but I write Terry Goddamn Funk as many times as I can.
It's actually more trouble than just saying Morgan. It's like you take so long, Terry Goddamn Funk.
Terry has earned it. Shoot
But
Show
yeah,
Hall of Famer.
What a big screen debut for the Funker himself, to be able to burst onto the scene, one of the first baddies you may see past that opening segment, I guess. And he's throwing a man out. His first line is, "Don't come back, peckerhead."
Terry was made for this role, man.
Great.
Made for this role. This is when, like, casting gets it perfectly right. Like, the two in order, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man and Terry Funk as Morgan.
Absolutely. I mean, really, if you take stock of all the bad guys in this movie, they are appropriately bad guy looking. With the exception of it's a little confusing for me as a child because each side, the good guys and the bad guys, have a portly guy, a Rubenesque gentleman who holds his own, but is kind of the comic relief of each group.
Tinker versus Jack. Yes, I would have liked to have seen that movie pop up.
Tinker versus Jack.
Tinker versus Jack.
Dream match.
Tinker is good. He's got a good face. He's got the big scene at the very end of the movie everybody loves. But Travis McKenna playing Jack is far and away the best one.
He's such a baby face. I love him.
He's such a baby face.
looked like
You
a
see
sweet
him, you
boy.
like him. Even if I wondered where I recognized him from, Batman Returns. He's the
Nice.
fat clown from Batman Returns.
Nice.
And even in my
Wow.
terror
just
as a
blew my
child watching
mind.
that movie, I was like, that fat clown's not so bad.
This is years before the Spawn movie came out.
Wow.
I feel like if you walk into a bar and the band is protected by a layer of chicken wire, you should maybe just leave.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, acknowledge what you're getting yourself into.
Well, I mean, draw from the experiences of the Blues Brothers. It didn't go well for them. It probably not going to turn super well for just any patron that night.
Yeah.
If the chicken wire's still up, if it's still actively in use, it's stopping beer bottles all night.
Yeah, it's doing its job. Yeah, behind that is Jeff Healy, who plays a character named Clay, and the Jeff Healy band, which we will see a lot throughout this movie. And like,
Such a
man,
cool sound.
this dude rocks. Jeff Healy went blind at the age of 1, and started playing guitar at the age of 3, and is an absolute joy every time he's on this screen. He fucking steals the show. Like, I love this dude. If you get a chance to go and listen to his music is fantastic. Like, he's incredibly soulful, and it's enjoyable to behold.
Yeah. Oh, his name was Cody. I was like,
Is it Cody?
that's what I was like.
I thought
Yeah.
it was Clay. Okay, maybe
Well,
it's Cody. Cody Clay.
I thought it hit me weird. IMDb, take it up with IMDb. I'm not going to be 0 for 2 just yet. Damn it! I'm going to be so nervous to call out anything else. But yeah, I was looking him up, and his music really is incredible. Like he has such a noticeable sound of the movie, and even the character of Dalton, when he walks in, he notices it. He's like, my old buddy.
Yeah, my homie. And this is if you thought the first bar was rowdy, this bar is rowdy as hell, man. Like, one of the first things that you see is, first off, the bouncers aren't doing anything. They don't care. And then you see
God.
2 guys rolling across the pool table fighting, and they ask if we're going to step in, and I think it's even Terry Funk that says, "Fuck them, they're brothers."
Yeah.
He's working on some well put together woman, in his words. But did you saying Rowdy just put this in my head? Did you notice the name of the damn director of this movie is Rowdy Harrington? His
Rowdy
name is
Harrington.
Rowdy. Like, what is this? This was his calling. This was his impact on the world, was to infect the world with rowdiness.
And if you recall, then in the mid 2016, Rowdy Ronda Rousey was attached to play the Dalton character in a remake of this that was quietly canceled because nobody wanted to see it.
I would have shot into a new paper.
I want to go to this bar because the demographic is amazing, because it is just nothing but fat drunk slobs. But every chick in here is smoking hot.
That's so weird.
Smoking hot.
That was the 80s.
I mean, the ones that they put. If you look in the fringes, as you should,
As
you
bar
should
flies back there. I was
in
too busy.
society.
I was too busy having my attention drawn to the blondes in the like quintessential late '80s dresses.
Yeah, they were definitely dangling the shiny stuff in front of you, because they had some filler back there. They had the standard. Because I was getting a little suspicious. I was like, "Are we being disingenuous by
I like
cramming
Ryan
this movie?"
pausing the movie and walking up and looking real close at it, be like, "Oh yeah, look at this stinker." Like,
I'm like counting. I'm like, I don't see Kansas City in this right here. Nope, I don't think so. This is lying. But no, it was one of the first noticeable things that takes you out of a little bit of the suspension of disbelief, is that why the hell are these girls getting so dressed up to go and sit at a bar where they're getting showered with broken glass? Like, I think word would travel fast, and you would have one kind of girl there, and she could fight too. I
agree. And Dalton just kind of posts up next to the bar. He's not saying anything. He's not doing anything. He's just taking it in. Which, is in line with his character. He's very contemplative. He's the hottest chick in the bar approaches him just to get a drink, and gets gets accosted by the kind of guy you would see at a bar like this.
Yeah, his line to the nice lady as she walks up to the bar and says, "Give me vodka rocks." And he says, "Hey, vodka rocks, what say we get nipple to nipple?" So, what? And she responds quickly, just
Yeah.
really on her feet, and says, I can do that without you.
I could
which
do that
would
without you. Like,
even take away the sexuality of it, and now I'm interested. How?
just make touch.
Like, that would get my attention. Just like, I don't want you to show me. Just tell me.
That's
How
not the
hell?
right response. Yeah, and as she turns, he goes to grab her and just gets blasted by Terry.
Oh, see, I missed
Yeah.
where he grabbed her. I thought Terry just blasted her just for like talking to her. I was like, damn.
No,
Terry.
he's not that honorable. He's just looking for a reason.
We see a fun movie trope here where the idea that a good way to stop a bar fight is by chunking a guy into a table of 5 other guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because drunk people are always so understanding. Like,
Yes.
It's ruining the evenings of all of these people over here. He just handles it like a goofy oaf. He's just like, I don't want it. And he just stumbles into a table.
spilling
think he
drinks,
breaks the
knocking the
table.
table down. And then he turns and he tells Dalton if he's not drinking, he's out of here too.
That's true. You better watch it, buddy. So this is well establishing that this place ain't. It's not the Hilton.
Yeah, we see why he needs to be there.
Right, and let's see. Oh, what's the owner's name? Frank. He's walking through the place as well. I believe this is still the same scene. He comes up to the.
Oh,
scene.
yes.
He's taking
Hey,
stock.
phone.
He comes up to the telephone.
This killed me, dude.
Yes.
And if anybody's ever gone to the bathroom at like a bowling alley, they know that some poor girl's number is going to be on the wall, and they're going to advertise for a good fuck.
It's definitely them.
Because that's what was on the wall right next to the telephone. They didn't even have the decency to take it in the bathroom. So being the good business owner he is, he takes out a marker and he turns the F into a B. And I was like, for a good buck, that could still be colloquial. Don't do that. And but genius slides an I right after the U for a great
Buick.
call this number.
Imagine
and
the
dude,
surprise of somebody who calls that number.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. It's like arguably the worst move, because if it's some kind of revenge move on some poor girl, somebody might call it, "Hey, I heard you give a good fuck." Huh? That's as far as it goes. Have you ever put a listing online for something?
Imagine that's like I'm trying to get this car sold and I'm trying new and interesting ways to get it done. For a great Buick, give me a call.
People are going to be calling, "Hey, what
So
year model
great.
is that Buick?" God, I don't know. I would rather fuck
How
you.
often do you change the oil?
During this same scene, we get to see Carrie Ann, who is one of the bartenders, introduce herself to Dalton, and then she asks him. She says, "You got a name?" And he kind of turns to look at her, and he just says, "Yeah," and turns back. And I was laughing like my wife over my shoulder is like, "Take the hint."
Yeah. Like, you remember when you could just be playfully douchey in movies and you're not the bad guy?
For sure. But finally he does tell her that his name's Dalton, and this starts the chain reaction. She's more than happy to start going, "That's Dalton, that's Dalton, everybody say it's Dalton, that's Dalton, that's Dalton." So it circles the place. Jeff Healy decides to take a break, and Dalton knows Jeff Healy, so he goes up and introduces. He kind of sneaks up to him and tells you, he says, "You play good for a blind-ass white boy." Which is fun. Just fun. It's fun to insult.
And the moment of realization on Jeff Healy's face, like, fantastic actor, this guy. Like, he sold it so much, he was kind of tensed and holding his face in one way. He recognized it was just such a nice micro movement that was like, he sold it so well. What a talented dude.
Definitely. What are the odds that, these two would find each other? And it's great. I like
right
that
here
he
is
gets
where they
involved
take a
as
break from the rockabilly blues to play a little Dion and the Belmonts. Was it Run Around Sue? I think it was.
Who wants to take how this fight gets started?
All right.
Oh, dude, is this the proposition?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think,
Yeah,
Skylar?
we got a guy with his,
Go for it,
this
Scott.
really fat guy with his
Fat,
really
ugly
tiny.
guy.
He's not really fat.
It is Fred and Wilma.
Yeah.
Peter
But
and
this
Lois.
guy's selling boob kisses for $20, $10 a kiss,
$10 a kiss.
and a stranger takes him up on the offer, and he's only squeezing, and he squeezes him for a really awkward amount of time. And
way
the guy,
too long.
The husband's finally like, "Well, are you gonna kiss him or what?" And he says, "I can't." He says, "Why not?" "I ain't got no money." And then
that's an enterprising dude, man. Like this is a guy
what
who
happens
is
when
very clairvoyant.
When you film one of those jokes like your uncle tells you, and this is just basically like, so the guy goes over and he's feeling, and the punchline is he doesn't. This is basically it's like, what's that joke Uncle Jeffrey told me? We can put that in our movie.
I ain't got no money.
The way the guy shills the boobs is uncomfortable to me. He's just like hawking it, openly in the bar, and then he says, "You want to kiss him?" And it's a close up on her chest of him doing like the weirdest middle school grope that I've ever seen.
Very strange. It's
extremely uncomfortable shots.
Yeah, it would fly like a lead balloon nowadays. Like this would get your movie canceled and get a hashtag brewing almost immediatly.
Hold on, what is $20 in 1980?
But this is enough to kick off like an absolute barroom brawl.
yes.
Oh yeah, they're not too happy when. Oh God, $42. I don't know. That's $20 a boob. That could be worth it. I don't know.
And as this fight's going down, Dalton is just watching with a smile, unwavering. He really doesn't move. At one point, I think he slightly tilts his head to avoid a bottle being broke.
Band's still playing the whole time this is happening.
The band's still playing.
There's
one just like slack-jawed dude with an open mouth to suggest gormlessness, who is just laughing like an idiot as this fight's going down. Laughing until a waitress accidentally bashes him with a beer bottle.
Well, and now watching this, I'm just kind of disgusted that I thought I was being fresh in saying, like, wow, this is like an Old West movie. This is exactly like an old. They even do the wide shots of just the absolute just chaos.
I would say the only thing it was missing that would have definitely cinched it that you have in a Western bar brawl that I didn't see here was somebody being slid across the bar face first.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
and why that didn't happen, I don't know. But what does happen is that Terry Funk gorilla press slams a dude through a table, which is great.
Yeah.
Thoroughly
enjoyable. That's part of one of the wide shots of this movie that should be made into like one of those silk tapestries that people hang in windows. It's just it's beautiful. It's art in the bottom right quarter is Terry Funk just massacring a man
as an NFT. If wrestling has taught me anything, it is like I am going to press you straight to the ground. I'm not going to let a table break your fall 5 feet in the air. I'm taking you straight to the concrete. After that, we cut to see Dalton. He's looking for a beater. He puts his BMW away, and he wants just a shitty car. All he wants, he walks up on the lot. All he wants to know is if the headlights work, and he buys it. And then we see him loading tires into the trunk, which is a fun little bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Then he goes and he goes and he rents a house or a room in a house. He goes to a little farmhouse and he meets Sunshine Parker playing a character named Emmett, who's renting the room, which is right across the lake from a mansion.
My favorite character, Emmett.
Yeah, Emmett's great, man. Very quickly they get buzzed by a helicopter, which could only signify the introduction of the villain of the movie, who is Brad Wesley.
Yeah, that's a popular trope that will continue into the 90s. Douchebags arrive via helicopter. It's always the CEO that's wanting to, tear down the park and put in some condominiums or something. Even all the way, I would say, established strongly by Jurassic Park when Hammond arrives by helicopter, carrying all the way into Small Soldiers, where the CEO arrives via helicopter.
Wow.
Often.
Tune in next week for Small Soldiers.
Fuck yeah.
Emmett gets
I'll find a connection, dude.
Emmett gets a great line in here that made me laugh where Patrick Swayze keeps calling him sir. And he says, calling me sir is like putting an elevator in an outhouse. It don't belong.
That's true.
I imagine like the idea of like a two-story outhouse. I'm going to take the second floor, please.
Yes, yeah. Most people prefer upstairs. I'll be honest.
So from there we go back to the bar. Finally, Frank is introducing Dalton, and Dalton is going to be the head of the. He's the cooler. He's not a bouncer. He's a cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
because he's cool.
His first order of business is to immediately fire Terry Funk.
That's
Ballsy.
Fair.
Mortal enemy status achieved. Like, he fires a waitress for selling drugs.
Why did he fire Terry exactly? Like, he had a good reason for everybody else.
He had a bad attitude.
Oh, bad attitude. Well,
So you don't have the right temperament for this.
Well, he's right. He's an instigator.
No, he's totally right. And then he addresses the rest of the people, gives them a chance to leave, but he addresses the people and he gives them his 3 rules. Skylar?
Yeah?
Hit me with them rules.
Oh man, those rules are... Damn it, I wrote them down. Those 3 rules are never underestimate your opponent. Rule number 1.
That's right.
Rule number 2, take it outside.
Always.
Damn
Rule
straight. And
number
3, and most important,
be nice.
be nice.
Be nice.
Nice.
If someone
But
calls
what if he
you...
calls me a cocksucker?
So what?
Well-
It's just 2 nouns put
Yeah.
together.
Okay. Well,
Then he says-
that's great. I
the
like
guy
that he's
says, "What
integrating
if-"
a little bit of grammar and, it's like, and sometimes they'll use a pronoun. Sometimes they'll use the incorrect pronoun. Be prepared for that.
He says, you be nice until it's time to not be nice.
Yeah. How do they know? Because he'll tell them
That's
when
right.
it's time to not be nice.
This is a classic line again. He says, you are the bouncers, I am the cooler. Which is
Nobody
just,
gets any juice boxes unless they come through me.
Yeah, if I see you with a Capri Sun that I did not allow you to have, we're taking it outside.
That's a bad one.
So yeah, 3 simple rules. I mean, that could be applied to anybody in your normal lifestyle.
Yeah.
Be nice, never underestimate anybody, and fucking take it outside.
Take it outside.
That's right. And I kind of live my life according to that.
Take it outside.
Isn't that
man.
Christianity? The core tenets it's supposed to be. Go outside.
Then the
and be
fourth
nice.
one is give your money away.
Night 2.
Yeah, night 2. It doesn't take long for a fight to start popping off. A girl's dancing on a table. Dalton sends one of the guys over to make her get down.
Man, I just want to say, I wish I could enjoy anything in life as much as this man enjoys this young lady dancing on the table. This guy you're taking the sun away from him when you walk over and you're like, come on, you gotta get down. He's like, I say let her dance.
Yeah.
And he's just
Come
goes
on,
straight
man.
back to
I
his...
need this.
Dude, I got fired, please.
I've never
God,
seen a
give me
woman.
this.
So
But
yeah,
she's very good at it. She gets up on the table, one
sure.
strong leg. She doesn't
Would
struggle
not-
whatsoever.
would not be an easy thing to do to dance on such a small table. Like,
Yeah, it was very great. That's really a single pole table to be able to stand up on that, even with the help of a hand. That's incredible. She should be applauded for that. And she dances fairly well, throwing the skirt up, very vivacious, very seductive, provocative.
yeah, Western style yet again.
Yeah, folks, shit, I didn't even catch that. That was so Western style. She was flipping that dress up.
So the bartender or the bouncer takes a punch. Dalton goes over and the drunk pulls a knife on him, and Dalton immediately breaks his second rule of take it outside, and catches the wrist of the guy and then just fucking grabs the back of his head and slams it through the table.
Oh, it's so good.
And breaks the table, which we just saw could support, a roughly 150-pound woman dancing vivaciously on it.
Yeah, aggressively.
Maybe closer to 110 pounds. I don't want to,
Yeah, I was damn, man. Don't let her hear you saying that there, Tyler.
Probably died of old age.
But yeah, he would definitely have just fractured orbitals. He would not be carrying himself out of the bar. That would be a hospital stay for him.
And I feel that would be assault. Like I don't feel like you can just.
No, if you pull a knife on somebody, we'll come to see that the assault rules in this town are very lax.
For sure,
But,
yeah.
At the very least, the
lawless
manager
town.
is super understanding about having, let's just lowball it, say $50 table. Like, come on, those tables are expensive. You've broken one over this man's face.
He's like, that's coming out of your $500.
Seriously, I just broke off 5 Gs for you, and you're breaking tables. We still got chicken wire on the walls, man.
Man. After that, Dalton catches one of the bouncers, Steve, banging a chick in the back, and just walks in and fires him. This was just in the 80s. In the 80s, you were absolutely required to have a certain amount of boobs in the movie, or it wasn't getting made.
Yeah.
And
It's true.
Movies were rejected for lack of boobs.
yeah, they just keep kicking it back.
It's like movies got to the R rating, and then they're like, well, shit, what's our boob quota? We might as well. And
We've only got
you gotta
one
hit
boob.
that. Yeah.
a lot of man-ass, too. A lot of man-ass representation, so the women were not forgotten when they made the movies.
He
we should go
also
back.
calls out the bartender for skimming the till.
Blatant,
This
right
scene-
in front of Dalton. So not sneaky.
This will be the beginning of his undoing. Because a lot of the people that he fires have connections.
Small potatoes. Well,
And
most.
this one is one of the strongest ones.
No,
So
they're big
after-
potatoes, guys.
I was
after
thinking
that-
of the drug dealer lady. I don't remember seeing her again.
Yeah, she was small potatoes. She went away. She never came back. She had no problem finding gainful employment, apparently. She's like, that's fine. I can
Yeah.
just go to
You know what? They
So,
didn't call the cops. This is fine with me.
Yeah, it was a good trade.
So at the end of the night, Dalton goes to leave, and he finds that his tires have been slashed. But, as we know, Dalton's no fool. And he loaded up some extra tires in his trunk, so he's prepared. This isn't his first rodeo.
And the beater car makes sense now.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
This is why.
Well, the big establishment of this entire sequence was that now they know Dalton's here.
Yep.
They know he's in town. He was actually officially announced, if not, more implied by Jeff Healy. He actually stops the music. Says the name is Dalton. And then you get that nice trailer-worthy shot of him looking over his shoulder. His hair keeps moving after his face stops, dude. He's magical, and everybody
Yeah,
knows he's
all
in
the
town.
girls take notice. From there's a big pool party going on across the lake. This is when we start to get to see kind of like what Brad's all about. Dalton just kind of watches. Dalton turns the light off and kind of watches a little bit. Ooh, some more.
He did get
naked women.
Did anybody else get some Tommy Boy? Richard, what are you looking out the window? There's a pretty lady out there. And
But not to be outdone from the women that we're seeing. The next scene is in the morning. Carrie Ann is showing up to bring him breakfast, and he hops out of bed, and we get to see some firm, chiseled Patrick Swayze butt cheeks. And like if this doesn't get your motor running, you don't have a pulse. Because I'm straight, but I'm not that straight.
Yeah.
man, I mean, it's like, after watching wrestling for so many years, you're kind of numb to really nice male forms, and you're like, it's fine. They spend all their time working on this.
Those cheeks were sculpted by the hand of God.
Yeah, it's like shit, man. I got to get my life together. Look at this.
But
Look at
from
what this could be.
from that amazing sexiness, it is absolutely shattered as he pulls jeans up over no underwear, and like that's fucking gross, man.
Especially 90s jeans, man. There's no room.
No.
You got him on skin right now, man.
Whew.
Ah.
That's no way to live your life, man. You need that buffer zone between you and denim.
Oh man, imagine and he's driving those old vehicles. Imagine the idle rub. And you're sitting there at a red light and that him is digging in like just friction burn.
After this, we get a scene that really goes a long way to establish just how few fucks Brad Wesley gives. Because he's driving like maybe some kind of Camaro or a Mustang or something, but he's literally just swerving down the road from one side to the other, not giving any fucks, and damn near runs Dalton off the road, which is just I enjoyed that. I think that's just kind of a real fun way to establish like that this dude is the levels of no shits that he gives.
Yeah, you can tell that this is a movie made for men because there's nothing that pisses a man off more than discourteous driving.
I got
habits.
mad at that shit too. I was like, what the fuck's he doing? Just stay in
Yeah.
one lane, dude. Enjoy your
Yeah,
tunes
what are
and
you
stay
doing,
in one
man?
lane.
the makers of this movie were able to see. It's like, yeah, we could have him like, kill his friend or something like at the beginning of the movie, but no, let's have him like, not signal for a turn. Yeah. And that's just gonna rile the audience right up. It's like, oh, you son of a bitch!
Veer carelessly into oncoming traffic that just so happens to be Dalton.
Show him braking too hard at a stop sign. Oh, you're wearing those brake pads down so bad.
Speaking of brake pads, Dalton is on his way to the auto parts shop, which is just a stone's throw from the Double Deuce, where he meets Red West, who is played by a guy named Red Webster. So I guess there's a couple people who have the same first name as the character that they play.
They just couldn't take to the character name. It was like, hey, Dennis. Red, your name is Dennis.
This is why Tracy Morgan always has to play Tracy, or like Tony Danza always has to play somebody named Tony because he's too dumb to turn around to any other name. I love Red. Like, Red immediately establishes himself as an awesome character by saying that he ended up being in that town for so long because he got married to an ugly woman. And then she left him for somebody that was even uglier.
Well, he's very clear on his advice. Don't do that. Yeah, don't marry an ugly woman. That's what he says. But yeah, Red plays that sort of sometimes interchangeable part of these kinds of movies where it's like the affable, rough townsman.
Affable. Yes.
Yeah, who's going, some horrible shit's gonna happen to him. His wife is gonna get hit by a car or something. You never know. Well, he just said that's not even in the equation, so you're wondering. The audience is guessing. What are they gonna do? Oh God, he loves this business. Oh God.
Back to the farm, Emmett sees the BMW, but then sees a shirtless Dalton doing Tai Chi. This is a funny scene of Swayze just really slowly and sweatily doing his little Tai Chi moves as
doesn't the rich asshole come into the shop?
Yeah, oh yeah. We see, Brad.
So that's how they kind of get introduced.
Right. Yes, you're right. Brad comes in and he gets a chance to see him, and Dalton excuses himself quickly because he is not interested.
We see I thought that dude next to Brad was his son, so I assumed he was his son staring him down. But no, it's just his right-hand man. I don't think he even has a name.
Jimmy?
Okay.
Jimmy.
Well, yes, we are also introduced to Jimmy, who is the final boss per se, like definitely like the toughest henchman.
Yeah.
He's got his little cross earring stud, like, yeah.
Damn, I thought it was his son too.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Maybe. Yeah. It was almost like that. The lead guy was supposed to be a younger dude, but this dude knew the producer. Yeah. So he was like, he got to be the bad guy. But yeah, because it was always well, I'm jumping ahead in the story. That's fine. We'll get to it. But the scene with Sunshine, next to the pond and the Tai Chi was really weird. Like
weird.
It was weird to me. Because it seemed like just Sunshine was troubled by it, like he didn't know what was going on, or if he was dealing with some internal emotions from what he was seeing, or he was just like, "Well, damn, I've lived an entire life as a straight man, but I'll be damned."
Brad also sees this as he looks on from across the lake on his 3-wheeler, which is fun.
What a flex!
Yeah,
like that's how you know this man's rich. It's what told me he was rich. Because 1989, you got a 3-wheeler, dude, and you're a grown man.
Yeah, those did not. I don't think those made it out of that decade. 3-wheelers were banned.
I had a 3-wheeler. I burned the shit out of my thigh on the manifold cover, or whatever it was on the right. It was horrible design, but what a flex in 1989.
Well, and from there, Dalton goes into the boss's office, and we find out that the liquor is supplied by Brad.
Oh, son of a bitch.
This is his inn. And the bartender, whose name is Pat, is in his employ because Brad is his uncle. So he's getting his job back. So here we have our introduction to a couple of the cronies. We get to see O'Connor here. We get to see Tinker for the first time. And we get to see Pat in the office. Tinker is like if Otis had starred in this movie. If they remade this movie, Otis could play Tinker.
Yeah, he's like one of those guys who he's standing with the bad guys, but you're like, oh, he just got mixed in with the wrong crowd.
He's just too nice to say he doesn't do this kind of stuff.
It's the way his belly sits upon his waistline. And he wears
suspenders.
The suspenders. You can't hate a big guy in suspenders. It's hard.
He looks like just a random bad guy out of the game Final Fight. or something like that.
Yes.
He's got a very kind of like, so Pat pulls a huge knife, like a Rambo type survival knife on Patrick Swayze, and manages to get a slice on him, slices him in kind of like the side, but gets kicked the fuck out the window for his troubles. Tinker pulls a knife as well, but he gets his ass kicked as some other people run in, and he takes a shot to the balls.
Oh, dude, he was really holding his own for a second there, and I was impressed. But yeah, he was kicking nuts of his own. But then, so he gets held back and straight up punched. I don't know if it landed with all the mass, but it was enough to. What's the word I'm looking for? Put him down.
Put him down. You're gonna miss those nut shots because we're gonna see a few more as the show goes on.
Yeah, he's been around the block a time or two. But from there, I feel like this is around the time we meet the doctor.
Yeah,
this is the big inciting
he
incident
goes
for
to
the
the
movie.
Yeah, because he got cut.
Oh, it
Couldn't
was the
stitch
cut
this
from
one.
Tinker.
That's right. He meets a smoking hot doctor who's played by Kelly Lynch. Yeah, they say her name a couple. I think it's like Elizabeth something or other. I wrote it down.
It's Elizabeth.
Yeah, but they definitely credit her a lot as just Doc. And this is the point where you can peep a glance at his chart and see that his first name is James.
But yeah, she's that kind of like she's just completely perfectly put together as far as makeup and hair and everything. But she's a doctor in this. Is this a small town? I keep on hearing Kansas City.
I guess
it's supposed to be, but it's a large-looking hospital, all things considered. And the amount of
really
people
nice hospital
that are in the Double Deuce, and then the second crew when it's just a whole different group of people. She's going through his chart, and she's really just looking at all the issues that he's had: broken bones, bullet wounds, cuts and scrapes. He refuses anesthesia for the 9 stitches that he needs, and utters possibly the most famous line in this entire movie.
Well, yeah, she says, "What do you like pain?
Pain don't hurt."
Oh, wow.
With the way he says it with that little half smile, it's almost playful. He's just like, yes, of course it hurts, but that ain't the kind of pain I'm worried about.
Which is,
I'm getting that tattooed on my forehead.
Humorously dumbed down, considering almost immediately after that, he tells her, she asks him that, and he says he has a philosophy degree from NYU.
Well, yeah, that's why he says pain don't hurt.
And she's smitten. I mean, you can tell that she's holding back the feelings that she's having. He goes ahead and he shoots his shot and invites her to the Double Deuce. Good one, dude. Why don't you invite her to the shithole, smelly asshole of a bar that you work at? Great.
Come to the super violent bar I'm trying to clean up.
That seems like her crowd.
Yeah, there was really no moment of winning her over. She was won from the get-go. All he had to avoid was pushing her away. Because if you walk in a shirtless Patrick Swayze, that's like his element. That's like that's what he hopes for. He probably saw her at the store the day before and was like, well, shit, let me take a little knife wound in this next fight and have an excuse to have a shirt off and meet that doctor perfect.
I was watching some behind-the-scenes stuff, and it was saying that they actually had to hire security for Patrick Swayze on this movie because literally chicks would just bum rush him. Like random, when they found out the movie was being filmed, women would just show up and just try to get to him.
Understandable.
Which is great. I love it.
I mean, is it okay to victim blame a man? Because if he's walking around without a shirt, he knows what he's getting. He knows exactly what he's Wendy Peppercorning these poor women. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah, then we get a little scene of those guys having to go back to Brad's and apologize. Brad believes Tinker and doesn't have a problem with that, but he doesn't believe O'Connor and beats the tar out of him as a result of it.
Beats him.
Yeah, he's really mean to O'Connor.
Yeah,
If I was O'Connor, I wouldn't stand for that kind of treatment. Everybody else really got the benefit of the doubt. They must have a history because he says that O'Connor's weak, can't handle pain. There's some stories there. O'Connor's probably a fuck up.
Yeah, he definitely but Tinker on the other hand, like, hey, Tinker's living his best life, man.
Tinker is like immune. He's like, I know you didn't mean it, Tinker, and kind of gives him the old tiger punch.
He takes his hat off and he
drops
his head.
Ruffles his hair a little bit, all tinky.
I think there's a couple more snack packs inside. Get your adorable ass inside.
You can have a Capri Sun.
Did you put me one in the freezer? I know you did. And he goes up the stairs.
So Dalton heads back to Red's shop, and it's probably like his new favorite customer because he's constantly having to fix this piece of shit.
Yeah, no
car
wonder he
that's
was so nice to him.
But as he's on his way in, he sees Brad's cronies are leaving, and the shop has been it's a mess. It's been torn apart.
They stabbed all the oil.
I don't know which one it is that's riding with Jimmy, but he's got the most rat fink face. Ooh, I hate it. I hate him. He looks, oh God, he looks like the weasel, what is it, Steve Buscemi's character on Monsters, Inc. It's just a son of a bitch.
Joey the rat.
What is Swayze wearing in this scene, man? It's like a gi. It's like a shirt, but it's like a gi.
It does look like a gi. I thought I had written in my notes that it does also look like a gi. Yeah, it's like a two-piece gi.
And, like, who could do that without looking ridiculous but Patrick Swayze? We saw how ridiculous Kramer looked wearing his robes for karate class, but Swayze pulls it off.
So we find out here that Brad is basically squeezing all the businesses in town for 10% through something that he calls the Jasper Improvement Society. And Patrick Swayze asks Red, he said, does everybody pay? And Red has a great line here. He says, does a hobby horse have a wooden dick?
Ow, what? Hard cut. That's the end of the scene. Perfect.
No. I've never seen one with... No. What a weird...
Do they make the dick? It's for a child.
No, very off-putting. Yeah, it's on a little hinge, so it swings.
It was so confusing because the answer is no.
No, definitely not. Like, it's such a jarring thing to say.
That's the answer he wants.
Be like, you know what? I think there's he's like, yeah, there's an Advanced Auto Parts down the street. I'm gonna start going to that.
I'm going to AutoZone.
He answers with no, and Red is very confused and is like, oh, wow.
Well, I've got to do some soul searching, I guess.
Don't?
I got to do some sanding before I give my granddaughter a hobby horse for her birthday, I guess. Like,
he does while he's in there, though. He notices the picture of the doc. Doesn't mention it, but takes notice of it.
Yeah, what a freaking monk-like detective this man is. He's just noticing little things, filing it away.
We get a hard cut here from this scene to a wet T-shirt. No, excuse me. A G-string contest. It was a wet T-shirt contest, but when they don't have their shirts on, they got to come up with something else.
Well, this just shows you how rowdy it is. It used to be a T-shirt contest, but you see that it's been crossed out.
It's just been crossed out, and it's now
replaced
a G-string
with G-string.
This is a different rowdy bar where we are introduced to Sam Elliott, who plays Wade Garrett, and damn, I love me some Wade Garrett.
Now, depending on how much salt and pepper you like on your steak, arguably Wade Garrett is like, he could be foxier in ways than Swayze, because Swayze's a beefcake, but is he a fox? Wade Garrett's a fox. He's a salt and pepper fox. Silver fox. There's an actual term that I just didn't use. It's silver fox.
There you go. Salt and pepper fox. But he takes a phone call from Dalton, Dalton's just kind of telling him what's going on. They're obviously old friends, old buddies. And Wade kind of has to cut the conversation short because he has to go break up a fight. And that's the end of that scene.
Almost a rude phone call. It's so short. I feel like if Dalton's calling you on the random that he maybe needs something. But, Wade's so aloof and so cool. And, hey there, mijo. All right.
Yeah, I love this guy.
Cool.
He is the Griff of this episode.
For sure.
He's the
and
Griff
I think
Hawkins.
he's probably the better cooler between him and Dalton, Wade Garrett and Dalton. Wade pulls the serviceman down off the stage and he says, hey, buddy, I know you're ready to go fight him or whatever, but, sit down there, tough guy. And he's smiling. He's kind of like the dad present. It's like, you're right, Wade. I got a little carried away. But Dalton does it. He's a beautiful angel man, and he's kind of soft smiling at you. And you want to punch that when you're in that situation.
It is. It definitely colors the situation a little differently when it's a guy like Patrick Swayze telling you that. When it's Brad, you're kind of like, all right, old timer, you making a good point. I'll sit back down.
It's also the voice. If you hear Sam Elliott's voice telling you that, hey, maybe we should calm down.
It's so great.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe you read me a story.
Second you opened your mouth, I was calm.
From there, we go back to the Double Deuce, and we see Carrie Ann up on stage singing Eric Clapton's Knock on Wood, and doing a really good job of it.
Very good, and we'll notice here from here on out, basically to signal a little bit of a time jump in the movie, is they're showing improvements to the Double Deuce. Yep. You know, the outside's getting better, the interior's certainly getting better. They've got new paint. They got rid of the chicken wire.
No more chicken
wire being gone. This is when we first see that, and that goes a long way to try to make you want to stay at a place and not think you're going to get hit by broken glass.
Yeah, the most impressive part, though, is they go for the custom neon so early in the renovations. You know, you've got your custom neon right there behind the drummer where they used to throw bottles. It's like, that's a lot of money you're going to just rain down glass and neon on that poor drummer. He's been there since day one.
So the blonde girl that we saw earlier, whose name is Denise, just forgoes any kind of foreplay and walks up to Patrick and just says, well, what if I just said, you want to go back to my place and fuck? That I don't care how hot you are, that reeks of desperation. Like, sweetheart,
well, yeah, it's like,
what is going on with you?
Yeah, you're just waiting to stick a knife in my ribs. Like, I don't even have enemies like that. But if some girl did that to me, I was like, no, somebody wants to kill me.
Kill me.
Definitely. And like to your point, I mean, very soon after that, we see Jimmy, Brad's main guy, come up and drag her away. So, you know, she's off the table. And, you know, definitely that would have been a bad choice for Swayze.
Yeah, I thought, I thought that's what the whole plan was. It's like, okay, get him there, get his dick out and distracted, and then you're going to stab him. But no, she looked surprised when Jimmy came up. And she was like, oh, shit, she was just really wanting to bang Dalton, just on the low. Just, no really ulterior motives.
As we see later, she lives at Brad's house, so the place that she's talking about going back to is where Brad lives. So.
Yeah. No, she was at that sick-ass pool party. Yeah. She had the boobs out at the pool party. It looked like a fun time. Like, I don't know why she's so hung up on Dalton. She's got everything she could want.
As they are leaving, we see a group of bad dudes coming in.
In a fucking monster truck of F-350.
Yeah.
Like, are you kidding?
And Dalton again with his like Batman style, Arkham vision that he immediately locks in on that the one guy has a blade sticking out of the front of his boot.
Mm-hmm. God, what a
cool.
Well, very like. Go ahead.
It like shined in the light. It was like shing when he walked in.
Yeah. Well, let's just make sure and do 2 weeks running on a Wild Wild West reference. It's the same kind of thing Jim West had installed on his boot. He got a knife on that front. He brings it to the
keep bringing that movie up each week.
Yeah, somehow next week I'll do a Loveless impression. For Jack though, it's almost like he's kind of showing Jack some pointers, and I kind of liked that. Jack being the immediately likable guy coming over and he says, "Right boot." He's like, "Got it, boss."
But yeah, the dude goes for like an axe kick on Dalton, and Dalton just catches it and breaks his foot and just drags him outside by his foot.
Yeah,
and a monster fight kicks off outside right as the hot doctor shows up, which is great. I like that she picked a fantastic time to walk up and just like this can't be her scene.
Dude, these are just middle school fantasy movies. You got the pretty girl coming. She's in a sundress or some shit. She's dressed so nice. She stinks out like a sore thumb. Yeah. And he's kicking ass. Like, if he had sunglasses on, then it would be a middle school fantasy. That's the only thing it's missing.
So yeah, he takes her to a cafe and blows smoke on her. And then he tells her that he tells her that he isn't a nice guy. To which she's saying, like, I didn't think you were a nice guy. But then he turns and, like, pays to let some drunk bum keep staying at the bar or at the cafe, which is just in stark contrast to what he just said. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm not a nice guy. Here's some money to let this guy keep staying, buddy. I just paid his rent for the night.
Yeah, they really do harp so hard on the tortured. So, like, they're beating you over the head about the fact that this guy's got a checkered past, maybe, and he's trying his hardest to be a better person. Like, yeah, I mean, he's like giving mouth to mouth to like a baby bird out on the sidewalk, yeah, and he's like,
he's
I've done some things in my life.
From a burning building with a puppy in each hand. I'm an asshole. I'm a rebel, Dottie.
Yeah, stay away from me. I'm no good.
So they roll back to the Double Deuce and they share a kiss, and then he gets out and she drives away as he's pulling a stop sign out of his windshield.
It's like the little lightest graze of a kiss too. It's just little passing ships in the night.
Little peck, yeah. We cut back to Dalton just relaxing in the farmhouse, sitting on the hood of his car. Tinker and O'Connor show up to take him to Mr. Wesley, and there's a fun little fun little point where he reaches back to like get his jacket or something, and they both kind of take a karate stance, getting ready, and he's just kind of like, "What? I'm just getting my jacket." Like,
oh man, everybody reacts like suddenly into a karate pose.
Yeah. Wesley's house looks like a shitty bar. There's pool tables in it. As they walk in, "Do You Really Want Me" by Christine W. off her 1985 classic album, The Perfect Beat, plays. As we see Denise doing some aerobics in the background as she tries to cover her black eye and busted lip. Poorly.
Man, this actually hit me. Like, she felt... I felt something for Denise.
Yeah,
in that
for sure.
moment,
She becomes kind of a tragic character. Like, up until this point, she'd really
like
just
that,
been
but she
this
did.
kind of,
She kind of did. She was like, she said so much with her face, like, "Don't look at me, but look what he did to me. But don't look at me." This house reminded me of who was it? The guy from Ace Ventura 2. When Ace Ventura 2 goes in, or Ace Ventura goes in, and he's just surrounded by mounted heads. And that's kind of the assortment of heads he's got. He's got them stacked, like all the way down to the ground floor. He's run out a wall. He kills some animals.
a lot of mounted stuffed heads. Brad is eating breakfast, drinking Bloody Marys, and he's kind of this is the kind of villain exposition here where Brad solidifies himself. Talking about how he made this town what it is. It was nothing. And he also reveals a little bit of information that he has on Dalton, that he knows that Dalton killed a man in Memphis and claimed it was self-defense, but it wasn't.
Oh.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting scene, and I can't believe it took him, like an hour into the movie to really get to this sort of, setting your main evil character. But he's got all the bad guy stuff. He's got the big house. He's killed animals, obviously, which is evil. And he's eating in a scene, which you bad guys do. If you meet a bad guy, he's eating. And he's sitting while the good guy's standing. He's got a salmon button down. That son of a bitch.
Drinking at breakfast.
What is that? Tomato juice.
He asks Dalton what it would cost to hire him, and Dalton says there's no amount of money. No amount of money.
He said $100,000. He says there's an amount of money.
Okay, there is. Okay, you changed my mind.
Apparently, there may be an amount of money.
We go back to the Double Deuce now as Roadhouse Blues is playing by the Jeff Healy band. But at this point, we've totally shifted the clientele here. This bar has gone from being this shitty, rundown, ugly bar fight bar to it's basically like a yuppie bar. It's a lot of guys in like real nice clothes, good looking guys, still the same looking women, but like it's there's more people there. It's surprising that there are this many people in this town that you could alienate one clientele and bring in a whole nother set in a span of a week, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. They're not clear on how much time passes, but they do reaffirm that it's not a long time, and it's like, how long are you in town for? Not long, but it's a little jarring that we go from the Wild West to the Max from Saved by the Bell, like maybe in the course of a month.
We get to see they hired a new bartender, and it is Keith David, who is a classic actor. Keith David plays the bartender Ernie Bass, which is awesome. You don't get to see him too much, but I like Keith David. He was in The Thing, the classic. Frank is running out of liquor because Brad is not only not supplying him, but Brad's blocking his attempts to get some liquor. So Dalton makes a phone call, which we'll see kind of play out a little bit later on. And then the doctor shows up when he's leaving, and he leaves with the doctor as the bad guys look on, which I kind of, at this point, I was like, oh, damn, is the doctor setting him up? Like, I kind of, that was a weird... So he drives her car back to his house, which I thought was weird. Every time you see them in the car, other than the first time, he's driving the car.
That is an alpha move.
It's
Yet
80s,
again,
yeah.
another made-for-man movie.
I agree. He takes her back to his house, which she loves. I mean, it's simple. It suits him. This was the point I imagine Emmett like looking through like the holes of a picture on the wall. Like you just see his eyes kind of darting back and forth.
He's like, this was his plan all along. He's like, it's not going to take long for him to catch some little bird and bring her back, and I'll be ready.
So this scene,
I'll be ready.
when we were watching it, it was nice yesterday. So we had the blinds open and the windows open, and I was watching it on my big TV in the living room. And as this sex scene was coming on, little kids started walking up the street to like skateboard down the fucking road. So we had to pause it and close the blinds and windows.
Yeah, way to blow the load early, Skylar. We were trying to tease it a little.
Oh, well, you were talking about them going back and Emmett peeking through the fucking thing.
No, I'm completely kidding because I mean it's just a given that these two people are going to mate with each other.
Is happening. Yeah, he brings up that he saw her picture. He saw her picture at Red's. She says that's her uncle who raised her. Then Dalton kind of grills her. Yeah, she used to be married, and Dalton grills her about why her marriage didn't work out. Oh. As they start slow dancing, which is a great thing to do. Like when you've just about sealed the deal, start like harassing her about why her last marriage didn't work out. Why? Who is he? Where is he? But she
knows she's not going back now.
Ooh, she works his pants off quick, man.
This was the intensity. It was a sharp spike.
Yeah, no time for put a gym hat on. It's 1989.
Yeah, there was.
No
I mean, dude.
Hot.
Patrick Swayze carried himself with the confidence from the moment he met her. He was like, "Yeah, I'll probably bang this lady against a chimney," and he does. He like it's exactly what happens. And it, like you said, it was just painful. They were kissing, and then suddenly they were having sex, and they actually go from a chimney position against a chimney to now they're slow dancing.
He's giving her the chimney
and having sex at the same time.
That was
which
weird.
was high level moves. I was like, what a damn legend.
Definitely. Well, and Swayze in real life was also a ballet dancer, so he knows how to work it in.
Oh, that's true.
Talent. And it's the first time in a scene like this you ever wonder is like, who am I jealous of in this scene?
Yeah,
Which one do I envy the most?
Like, yeah, as my wife looked on, I was quipping we could both be aroused. Like, who knows what to think? Yeah.
God, it really is a spectrum.
She wakes up and she sees that he's sitting out on the roof, and she goes out there with him, which is not at all safe. They have a little conversation, and then they start banging on the roof. And we see as camera pans across the lake that Brad is just sitting there watching it go down.
Yeah. And it's really not even a part of the roof. It's a lean-to that keeps the hay dry.
There you go.
it's like it's barely a roof. It's I wouldn't trust it under a single person's weight. And they are, aggressively convulsing on it.
And we find out at this point that Brad had a thing for her.
God, so like, damn, what a kick in the pants that
for
is.
Sure. Like, what are the odds? That this guy would be living like across the street from him and banging a chick like wide out in the open where he can see it.
So he's kicking his guys' asses just basically every night, and now he's banging the lady that he really likes. So, yeah, we've got all the classic ingredients for a gonna kill that guy kind of situation.
Definitely. We get to see Wade after this. He rolls up on his motorcycle, looks up at the sign of the place and says, Double Deuce.
The Double Deuce.
Yeah. Dalton is out back overseeing some liquor getting delivered. And then Brad's cronies show up. We get Terry Funk, Tinker, O'Connor, and a tall guy that they just call Mountain.
He's a big old boy, and yeah, they're just a continuation basically of the alcohol embargo that's been placed on by Brad, and they're there to enforce it this time. And Dalton's had enough, so we got us a scuffle. But man, what a beautiful timing by Wade. It's like he knew.
I agree, and he walks out back as Patrick is being held and punched. And he just calmly is like, "How's it going, mijo?" Terry says, mind your own business, Dad.
They're like the same age.
And then the mountain says, you want to fight, dickless? And then Wade says, well, I sure ain't gonna show you my dick. And then punches him in the dick. And kicks him in the knee.
It's a great
This
move.
was a really weird exchange. He wasn't asking to see your dick. He said you didn't even have one.
Yeah, well, I guess he was jumping to prove him wrong, and he just kind
Sure
of
ain't gonna show you my dick.
Yeah, he jumped ahead in the wordplay. It's a kind of a not great. You stick to fighting, Wade. You're not as good at it.
So both badasses, obviously. Dalton takes Wade to meet the doctor, and then they're at the bar just telling bouncer stories, trying to impress her. And Wade stands up and pulls his pants down to show her a scar, which is, at first you're like, whoa, where's this going, man? He just stands up and like undoes his pants and starts pulling them down, and like, uh-oh.
And he pulls him down so much further than he has to, really. Like, he's extremely disrespectful, I feel like, to Dalton.
At least he has underwear on, though, which we know Swayze does not.
Like, she does not, Elizabeth doesn't seem to mind all that much, and Dalton doesn't seem to mind. I would be a little offended if my friend was just clearly hitting on the chick.
Oh, and it gets worse from there because, Wade says he wants to dance, so they go back to that cafe to dance?
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Extremely uncomfortable.
As All My Exes Live in Texas plays, which is a pretty funny... Wade is dancing way too sexy with this person that he just met.
Yeah.
Well, not just met, but was introduced as his best friend's girl.
They just had a night of drinking and telling stories. They're closer than they'll ever be that.
I guess so. I would take issue with this if I was Dalton. I'd have been like, buddy, you need to back up.
Well, I would be taking issue if I was Elizabeth, because I would be like, oh, Dalton wants me to bang his friend too. He's one of those kinds of guys.
Well, and it's here that we find out that the guy Dalton killed, it was over a woman, and he didn't have any choice.
It's always
further
a
cementing
dame.
him as the hero. Always a dame. So now Dalton has his backup. So bring it on.
You didn't tell the whole story. Why he was banging a married woman, and she didn't know she was married.
Well, she didn't tell Dalton that she was married. The man finds out and pulls a gun on him. He had no choice. And like Skylar said at the beginning of the episode, when somebody puts a gun in your face, you either die or you kill that fucker. Mm-hmm. And so we see what he did.
Fortunately, in this movie, every time anybody pulls a gun, they pause to make a glib witticism before they fire it. So you got time.
That's why he was drilling her about the marriage earlier before they banged. He didn't want to have to kill another.
Oh, full circle.
Yeah.
There
Lord,
you go.
Don't make me kill again.
Yeah, there's a lot of hammers being cocked on semi-automatic rifle or handguns. I've noticed.
Back to the bar, and Jack bursts in to tell Dalton that Red's shop is on fire. And like as Dalton goes running out to it, it just explodes. Like super explodes. Red shows up and like throws his hat to the ground in anger, which is how you really know somebody's mad.
Mm-hmm. The second they get out and throw their favorite hat on the ground, yep.
Tarnation.
Yeah!
So back in the bar, Brad is there and he's gloating with his cronies about what he obviously just did. Like obviously Brad was responsible for this, and he's not even really trying to cover it up. I believe he calls Jeff Healy Elvis and tells him to start playing. As Denise makes her way up onto the stage and just starts stripping, basically. Yep.
She really does, and it's one of those moments where, like, a girl may be overvaluing her sexuality at the moment because everything has to be perfect for this kind of... It looks cool because it's edited and it's set to music, but I guarantee you, if somebody tried this shit in real life, you get up and all the noises of getting up onto a stage and the clomping of feet and shit would drown out the music, and you would look awkward. We can hear your knees popping shit. Like, it's not going to work out, I don't think.
It's not the time. We just watched a man's whole livelihood burn to the ground.
Yeah, Fred Spector sobbing, and no amount of boobing can help that.
So... Dalton tries to get her off the bar or the stage. She grabs him and kisses him. He kind of throws her over his shoulder and takes her back to Brad and says, "If you're gonna have a pet, keep it on a leash."
Ooh.
Damn, dude. Like, that's gnarly. That's one of the meanest things that gets said in this movie.
Well, honestly, and a little, like, overly aggressive to Denise, because she's been put in a hard position. You know, she's been told to do these things.
Yeah, he knows she's getting beat. Like,
yeah, he knows she's getting beat.
Yeah, it's
how
sad.
dare you? Now, right, you know what? I'm turning the corner on Dalton.
So Brad calls down Jimmy, who walks down from the pool table swinging a cue stick like he's Bruce Lee, looking for a fight. And Dalton, rather than handling it himself, sends in the bouncers to all get their asses kicked, which they do. Jimmy uses the pool cue to, like, vault over Jack's body to get up onto the stage, to call out Wade, and then he just immediately hops back down off the stage. Wade gets kind of dealt with, but Dalton steps in and is, like, starting to get the edge on Jimmy, and Brad just fires a gun, and that calms everybody down, and they all leave.
Yeah. Yeah, Brad's the only guy with a gun, apparently.
He fires off a pistol, and everybody's like, oh, okay, well, okay, see ya.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of big noise Jimmy's supposed to be, but that weird little Keno flip from Ninja Turtles 2 up onto the stage, I don't know why they had to include that. Like, that's not how pole vaulting works. That's not how cue sticks work. He was really impressive with that makeshift bow staff, though.
Well, there isn't really anything that can be done about this, because even though they know Brad did it, you know, as the townspeople are kind of talking about it, Brad has the police in his pocket, so there's not really any recourse. And it builds from there, because the next scene we see is the local dealership, and Brad and all of his cronies are there, and they literally drive a monster truck straight through the showroom and over about 9 cars.
Just horrible.
Yeah, it's what most people would consider a dick move, and mostly just to prove a point, just to basically be like, hey, you don't care for me because that was sort of exposited in a scene previous that I wasn't present for. Well, I'm gonna destroy your property.
I feel like it doesn't matter how much the cops are in your pocket. You can't do something like that and they wouldn't arrest you.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous destruction of property, and like as opposed to the fire, which like who knows how that happened. This is pretty obvious. Like the whole town turns out to watch this.
Well, yeah, the entire insurance structure would kind of betray that that whole thing. Like there's a supply chain for a Ford dealership, you know, or whatever, wherever this guy was getting his, you know, station wagons that got monster trucked. Like I feel like he's got to make a phone call. It's like a guy drove a monster truck over them. Like, don't you have insurance? It was like, well, yeah, but you know, police. It's no big deal.
You know what? Forget I called. I'll just pay for it myself.
It's fine. You know what?
Yeah,
I think I found them. They're still there.
Accidents happen. Yeah. We then see Wade finds Dalton back at the farmhouse working a punching bag and is just trying to get him to leave town. Like, just cut your losses and leave. And Dalton kind of rebuffs him, says Wade can leave anytime he wants to. And then Wade says maybe he should kick Dalton's ass. And then Dalton throws a punch at him and Wade just catches it. Oh, it's badass.
Yeah, he's clearly just a dog worked into a frenzy at the moment. He doesn't know who he's lashing out at. He's filled with this anger and he doesn't want to become the man that he used to be.
He doesn't want to kill again.
You're going to force me to the line and I'm going to cross it.
Well, and he's right up against that line. And the doc shows up to find him looking at Brad's place. And she says that she's there to tell him to leave. But he's not. And as she's pleading with him, Emmett's fucking house explodes.
Ooh, I was so scared.
He manages to save Emmett just as the house finally fully explodes.
This Gotham City shit where everybody attached to Dalton is just being attacked on like a supervillain level.
And like the level of explosive, it's one thing to set a house on fire. It's another thing to have that house explode.
Well, guys, we don't know. He looks like he might have like a moonshiner fucking distilled in his basement.
That's true. That's very
That
true.
is racist against old grizzled white men. Don't do that. He's been clean since his wife died.
Did you hear the things he was saying? He was way too happy all the time.
Yes, you're probably right.
He was drunk on moonshine.
He's definitely drunk.
And looking through the peephole watching Dalton and his escapades. They see Jimmy, who rides away laughing on a dirt bike from behind the exploding wreckage.
Just take that sentence and know that you can apply it to most 80s movies. And there goes the bad guy laughing on a dirt bike.
Riding away on a dirt bike laughing.
Yeah. It's so true. I'm not thinking of Lost
Or skiing
Boys.
down a mountain. Yeah, you ski down a mountain or a motorcycle.
This is the last straw. Like, this is absolutely the last straw. And Dalton manages to cut a corner and jump into the air and land on Jimmy to knock him off of his motorcycle. And it's fucking showdown time. White guy karate showdown time.
Yeah, dude, this is where it first, like, when you've got the frenzy of a bar fight, you can sort of get away with some silliness, and you're fighting with the environment, you're throwing shit. Like, out here in the woods, in the fog, in the night air, it's really putting a spotlight on this silly white man martial arts that we're watching. It's like, Walker Texas Ranger kind of spinning kicks and stuff
much
like
so,
that.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of
does this
casual
really
MMA fans,
weird...
so we're just like, what is going on?
Right.
Yeah. Dalton does this weird, like, jumping sidekick thing. They kind of go back and forth. Jimmy grabs and just blasts him with a log, which he would say in an interview that I saw that was a shoot. Like, that he and Patrick were actually kind of like they hadn't spoken to each other for the entire movie up until this point. Yeah, and he was saying, like, basically, like, he knew that Swayze was a ballet dancer, and he kind of was maybe a little nonplussed by him. And the first kick that Patrick Swayze threw didn't really get anywhere near him, and he said, is that the hardest that you can kick? And he said, Swayze kicked him in the gut so hard, he flew back and skidded across the ground. And basically they just decided, like, let's go in on this and let's really make it look good. And he's saying, like, that Swayze catches him with a kick to the side of the head, and the blood that you see on the side of his head is real because he actually connected with that kick. Oof. And so just like in professional wrestling, you're going to get a receipt. Unplanned, Jimmy said he just reached down and grabbed the log that was there and just blast Patrick in the side with it, broke 2 of his ribs. He said, the sound that you hear Swayze make is a genuine sound. Swayze kind of tricks him he kicks and he gets his foot caught in like a tree. And that's gives Patrick Swayze the upper hand to kind of get the fight back onto his side.
Oh yeah, I thought he was just gonna snap that leg, but he just kind of tweaks it. It's kind of like the turnbuckle leg thrash. He just kind of throws it a little bit.
Well, and I was thinking, like, the Foley artist was having a field day with this one, with all the punch and the kick sound effects that are just. So finally, Jimmy's had enough. He pulls a gun and just, like I said, pauses for a glib witticism and says, "I'm gonna kill you the old-fashioned way." And that gives Dalton time to kick the gun out of his hands. And just as the doc is approaching, Swayze kind of cocks his hand back and rips the dude's throat out. Now that is the old-fashioned way.
Well, yeah, that's exactly. But it was just it was the same situation he was put in earlier. It was life or death. A gun was in his face. He didn't have any choice. But it's like muscle memory. He throws that arm back and just snap. It wasn't like rip a throat out, because that makes me think he grabs it and just kind of he snatches it. He snatches his larynx right out of his throat, just slack, and then tosses him in the water. It's incredible.
Tosses him in the water, and then like the doc runs away after she realizes he's dead. But Dalton just kind of screams for Wesley as he drags Jimmy's dead body in the lake, and he screams, "Fuck you!"
Which is definitely what you say in such a situation.
It's definitely what you say. So Dalton heads back to the Double D in his BMW this time, and as he walks in, the phone's ringing, and it's Brad. And Brad says, "Wade or Elizabeth, one of them dies." And he sets the phone down to flip a coin to decide who he kills, but he doesn't say.
Yeah, I would say it's maybe a little hermeneutic choice on the director's part to have him driving that car now. He's not hiding himself behind any sort of barriers from him and the people who want to come after him. He's his own self. He's driving his good car to the fight. It's time to stop wearing masks.
Yeah, well, and no sooner does he get off the phone than Wade stumbles in, having gotten his ass beat. by Brad's cronies, and that's just, you know, if the Jimmy was the last straw, this is the last straw.
Yeah.
Dalton leaves, and he leaves Wade there, and he goes to try and get the doc to try and get her to leave, but she doesn't want to because, and kind of rightly so, because she's like, dude, you're as crazy as that guy is. I watched you kill a man.
Well, it's the Batman pressure now, because he's been contacted by the Joker, played by Brad, apparently, and he's got both of them, both of the people he cares about, Wade and Elizabeth. In some way, he says, "Who do you want to die, Wade or Elizabeth?" And he can't choose. He says he's going to flip a coin, but doesn't tell him who's going to survive. So once he sees Wade come through the door, he thinks, oh my God, he's got Elizabeth. And he goes, and that's his driving force. He doesn't have time to explain. He's got to find the doctor and get her out of town. She's in danger, damn it.
Get her out of there. She's not going, though.
But yeah, he doesn't, and that's the thing, is he could really get her on. She's a smart lady. He could say, you're not safe here. Regardless of how you feel about me, these people are wanting to kill you. So we got to go. But he doesn't do that. He just grabs her shit and he's like, you're coming with me.
Yeah. So he heads back to the Double Deuce, and Wade is dead.
It's
As
such
he turns Wade on the bar, Wade's got a knife in his chest, and there's a note that says it was Tails.
It was probably the best emotional moment in the movie, because it's such a good setup. You think that Dalton has succeeded and he saved his friends, and you think, oh, Wade's just sleeping one off. He had more than one beer, you know. Dalton offered him a beer, but he had several apparently. But damn it, the moment that you see the knife sticking out of Wade is like, that really is that Patriot moment. You remember the Mel Gibson movie, The Patriot, where you're like, oh, you got to go just dice people up now. I want blood everywhere. You are on the blood feud now, and I loved it.
Yeah, and like, you know, for sure. Now his homie's dead, so he's heading to Wade's. Or he's heading to Brad's, rather. And they, like, all of Brad's cronies are waiting with him, and like, as his car comes barreling towards him, they fire about 1 million shots at it with a shotgun, which really wouldn't do much, shooting at a car with a shotgun when it's, like, 300 feet away.
Hey.
But the car, like, launches into the air and explodes, as cars in movies do. And we see that, of course, Dalton isn't in it. He's used that very same knife to stab the gas pedal down, which, like, man, he probably had to jam that thing in there.
And yeah, you wonder, who was it that actually killed Wade? Who's the one that stabbed him? It's the one with the empty knife sheath on his belt. And he gets the knife back and he puts it in his sheath. That's the son of a bitch.
Right back in
We're
his
going to
sheath.
get him. So now,
Bastard.
we've had what seems like several endings to this movie. And now it's like, surely this, like, we've already had one climactic battle. This has got to be it. and yeah, it escalates quickly. A lot of Dalton dispatches the henchmen. You know, not very difficult.
This made me so sad because Terry Funk gets killed off screen.
Yeah,
we don't get to see that as O'Connor is walking. No, not O'Connor. The guy with the knife. I don't remember his name. Henchman number 3. As he's walking through. We see Terry Funk's dead. Damn it. We see O'Connor. O'Connor also got killed off screen.
Who cares?
He has a knife fight with Dalton, and Dalton manages to knock the knife out of his hand up into the air, and then he catches it and stabs the guy in the gut, and he says, "Tails again."
Tails again.
Ooh. Right in the belly.
And he grabs the guy's body and has just enough time to spin him and shield him from a shotgun blast from the bartender, and then he tosses the knife right into that guy too.
Beautiful, and it's not obvious at all that the man was wearing an impact pad or something under his shirt, because an entire square of material moves when that knife hits him. I don't know if it was a reverse shot and they just yanked it or what, but that was probably the cheesiest shot of the movie.
We see Tinker fatly sneaking around in the trophy hunting room.
Oh, man. He's walking around like Luigi walks around the Haunted Mansion. He's just like, his knees are knocking. Oh, he doesn't like the mounted animals, apparently.
No, he doesn't want to be there, which I don't blame him. Dalton pushes a polar bear at him, which had me think, like, damn, Brad killed a polar bear? Like, that's an interesting trick. I'd like to hear that story. Like, rather than getting out of the way of it or anything, Tinker just screams and shoots at it as it slowly rolls towards him and then
He thought it
falls
was
on him.
alive. He didn't know.
Dalton says, "You were made for each other."
Don't know what that means. I see. Is it a fat joke? I think it's a
I
fat
guess
joke.
so.
But
So now Dalton's in the trophy room, and like Brad knows he's there. Brad says the only thing missing from the trophy room is your ass.
I hard agree. What it would be the centerpiece of the collection. I feel like you put a light on that shit.
So here's our showdown, man. Dalton sneaks up on Brad, but Brad has time to spin and shoot him in the shoulder. And then Brad chucks a spear at him, which goes past him, but takes this amazing just 0-degree trajectory as it goes straight past him and never deviates.
Yeah, super strong.
He starts swinging the second spear, and he briefly gets the upper hand. And he's getting ready to stab Dalton, but Dalton kicks his knee out.
The noise that he makes when he gets that knee, it sounded like Dave Chappelle. And he was never the same after that knee injury. It was Dalton takes advantage.
He manages to get his gun back, but again chooses to pause and try to say some shit, which gives Patrick Swayze more than enough time to kick the gun out of his hand. And oh man, Dalton is right there again. He's ready to his hand. He's got the eagle claw up there. He's ready to snatch that throat out again. But his emotions kind of, he relaxes a little bit and he doesn't do it. And then he just turns to walk away, which is really stupid because Brad immediately turns and grabs the gun. And is going to shoot him. Which is weird. Like, I thought it was weird that, like, Patrick Swayze, like, manages to stay his hand and doesn't rip his throat out because it's like, he just killed, like, 7 guys. But I feel like he's standing, he's like, I feel like 8 is too many.
Well, this is something he's done the entire movie. Like, he's beat the shit out of somebody and they're just on wobbly feet, and he looks like he's going to hit him again, and he just lets them go and they fall. He does that a couple times in the movie. And I guess that was still something, I don't know. But I agree. Just go on and snatch that throat and pray about it later.
Yeah. Go ahead and finish it off, yeah. Again, Doc shows up at just the right time to see him turn and walk away as Brad goes for the gun. But in a typical kind of movie trope, we hear the gun go off, but it's not Brad firing the gun. It's Red, who has shown up with most of the townspeople. And in a kind of twisted, macabre moment, Brad takes a slug from Red, kind of stumbles up bloody, and then he takes a slug from Emmett and Frank and the dealership guy, who I didn't ever get his name, but they just all stand around and just blast him with rifles and shit as he finally smashes through the glass table in a very satisfying moment.
Yeah, and yet another Western trope brought into the future. It's not really the Lone Rider who comes in and saves them. He just shows the town that they had the strength all along.
That's amazing.
It's beautiful.
Oh,
exactly. Like, he could have done it, and he was like, no, this is not my fight anymore. Not revenge, only justice.
Yeah, and they just grab up the guns and kind of get rid of them. And, like, as they're doing that, the police show up.
Immediately.
And
change of tone.
Very quickly. Tinker is kind of looking on. You can see that Tinker isn't dead. He's just underneath the polar bear, just kind of looking on.
And he's got a gun. They
gun.
didn't disarm him. You can see that the slide is back and like he's out of bullets, but he's still got a gun. And he wakes up and I was like, oh my god, is Tinker gonna kill everybody? Is this just like the beginning of the Tinker story?
The Tinker movie. Everybody plays dumb when the police show up. They don't really know what happened to him. He just got shot a bunch. I don't know. And then Tinker, when they ask him, he thinks about it for a little bit, and he utters my favorite line from this movie. It was just, "A polar bear fell on me."
Oh,
and they seriously all laugh like it's the end of a Little House on the Prairie.
They have a great joke. As there's 8 dead people,
there's standing
7 to
among
8
gore
dead bodies in the close proximity of them.
They personally just took a human life, and they're just like, "Oh, Tinker, doggone you." And it's just a weird tone shift, just all of a sudden. And I don't know how to take it.
It's kind of like, it's like an anime, just like super hard tone shift. It just that guy's bleeding a lot. You might want to get his dead body out of here. Like, and then everybody high fives, and then the scene pauses. It's like,
yeah. Some of those guys may still be alive if we work quickly. From there we go back to the Double Deuce. Everything is freaking hunky dory. Everything's great.
That's right.
The Jeff Healy is tearing it up as much as he ever has. Got a new haircut, new blazer, looking great. Things are
good.
Great. But
and then the very end is Dalton and the Doc skinny dipping and kind of goofing around in the lake. And I was just kind of waiting for Jimmy's dead body to like float past them as they're making out in the lake. Be like, yo, there's like dead guy still. There's no way you cleaned all that dead guy out of here.
At the very least,
he voided his bowels.
Yeah, at the very least, there's pieces of his voice box floating around. You know, just still. And
just the dead body kind of casually floats as he kind of like trying to push it away while he's kissing her, turns her the other way.
God,
uses
man,
his foot to kind of slide it.
They are going at it hot and heavy, and they sink underneath the water while kissing, which is unrealistic. And
gross.
It's just a fantasy from top to bottom.
Do not have sex in a lake. That is gross.
Oh, there's a lot of microbes. There's amoebas. Did you guys ever swim in stagnant water? I did one time, and there was an amoeba warning. I found out later. I lived though.
Gross.
But anyway.
So yeah, as the credits roll, a song called "When the Night Comes Falling from the Sky" by the Jeff Healy Band plays, and wow, I was spent.
Sick ass.
I needed to take a shower after that.
It was a heavy 2 hours. We went through so many different story arcs. They could have made 3 different movies out of this.
Wow, it was. This was great. This is like, we kind of pride ourselves on watching bad things on this show, but hot damn, this is the best movie that we've watched on the Shoot Show, no question.
I would say so. Just for not only culturally, but also just being a good movie. I think that it knew exactly what it was and made just a timeless product at the right time in human history. And I will never, ever be able to repay, what's his name, Rowdy Harrington, for showing me so much of Patrick Swayze's ass when I needed it.
You changed my life. You showed me what it means to be a man.
Really?
And that's Roadhouse, man. I mean, it's not as kind of self-actualized as Boy Meets World is, but what can be.
Yeah, and thank God Terry Funk picked up the phone for that role so that we had an excuse to watch it. Once again, Terry Funk blesses the Shoot Show.
That's right.
That's great.
This was a good time.
This was a great time, and we went heavy as shit because we couldn't stop talking about how much we love this movie.
I knew.
Skylar was ready to tap out about an hour and a half.
I'm hungry.
Because we feel the need to kind of go point to point on it, and it's we don't.
Yeah,
we
all knew going in that it was.
Thomas told us he watched this movie 8 times, and damn it, Thomas, we're gonna give you every bit of Roadhouse.
Oh yeah. Big shouts to Thomas. We know that he's excited about this movie. Says it's one of his favorites. Chimed in on Facebook and let us know that what the name of the damn bar was. I blanked last week, and I'm not even kidding. I've thought about it multiple times. How could I forget the Double Deuce? But from here are we gonna stay at the movie theater since we've rented since COVID is still a thing. We've rented the theater for a while. We got to get our money.
I think we're gonna sneak out of this one and sneak into another and I believe it's gonna be the Marine 5. Starring everyone's favorite Mike the Miz Mizanin.
Nice.
You know all those people that were like, I think I'm gonna subscribe. They just made their mind up just now. Like,
you have -4 views this month.
Yeah, we carried on from a little bit of momentum from Boy Meets World. Roadhouse pulled them in, but I'll be damned. the Marine. It should be a
and
great
also
time,
we're gonna do in the future we're gonna do a pair of episodes that are our top favorite wrestling themes and our least favorite wrestling themes. And I think also we'll have a lot of fun with that too. I'm
Yeah,
excited for that
absolutely. We're going to take a little bit of time and put those together. We're going to have to argue
Get ready
amongst
to hear
ourselves.
all of us bring up Right to Censor.
Right to Censor is going to really be represented for the bad episode. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit because there's so much to consider. Like, break-in sounds. You got your good pyro accompanied sounds. All kinds of stuff to take into account.
Good stuff.
Let us know on Facebook or any of the other social medias if you feel strongly one way or the other about a theme song.
We need to make a Facebook post about that and poll the listener.
Absolutely, but there was too many choices. Don't open that up. Don't let people add their own choices. It'll get out of hand real quick. But if you feel strongly one way or the other, look us up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, LinkedIn. What's some other shit we're not on? Just search The Shoot Show and you'll find us, or call that Shoot Show hotline, 4132-I-SHOOT, and put a little stank on it with your own voice. We'll play you.
Stank on it.
And we'll give you a little bit more attention than those other normies. But I hope you had a good time. I know that I did.
Yeah.
Going back to the Double Deuce in the 80s. And I've got to excuse myself for the, it's a little bit of a Topanga effect from last week, but for different reasons, I feel.
Yeah, I'm going to go take another shower.
Yeah. Gosh, dang that Swayze. But we'll try to keep it up next week. What are we doing? We're going to the movies for freaking Marine 5. I blanked that fast, guys.
Are we going to just lay the social media out again?
Yeah, well, God, look us up on. All right, guys, we'll catch you next week for a little Marine 5 action. Take care.
Later, guys.
Yes, sir. Good talking to you, boys.
We'll see you then.